Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight. It is Friday. TGIF everyone, TGIF. Is everyone hearing me good? Let me know down in the chat window. Make sure everything is running right. We have like a new setup going on here. There's a lot of little new doodads, things to break. That's basically what's going on tonight. Tonight is like a test, a test run. So anyways, thank you for being here. We're going to wait for a few people to kind of show up. There's about 30, 40 of you right now. We'll let it get up to about 60, 80, somewhere on there. And then I'm going to kind of dive into it. There was a lot of stuff that happened this week. It was kind of a crazy week this week. So not that much on the photography side. There was one thing that came out. I believe it was a Nikon camera, which is like an old school looking camera that I might do a video on probably Monday. But anyways, just want to say hello to everyone. Peter, thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate you as always. Travis, how are you doing? Jason from Alaska, how are you? How are you? Let's see who's here. Ricky Joe, how's it going? John K. Wolf, thank you for being here as always. David, how are you doing, David? James, Brain Surgeon, there's the name. I like it. I like it. Dominic, how's it going? Daryl, Janice, James, Stephen Rowan, how's everyone doing? Sean, a bunch of you guys are starting to come in here. Let me just say, just like what Peter normally says, if you want me to answer your questions, put a Q before your question. This way it stands out. Or do like an @JCristina. That will also make it stand out. That's really, really helpful. And I'm sure Peter, he's the moderator. He'll be in here kind of letting you guys know over and over again. He's over there at 2:30, I guess it is, in the morning in Denmark. So really do appreciate him for all that he does. I see Trinity, Texas from David saying it's 86 at 7:30. Holy hell, that is hot. We're in Florida, so I can feel you. My daughter's in Texas, so I know all about it. It is really wicked. There's some 100, 105, 110 days, and it's just horrible, horrible. I get it. I get it. Who else do we have here before we get started? Let's see. Ryan, how are you doing? Ryan from Louisiana. We have Richard. Scott from New Zealand. We got people from all over tonight. This is awesome. Richard, we have Eric. How are you doing, Eric? He says he enjoys the videos. Really do appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Melvin, how's it going? Let's see. Good night. Happy to see and hope the family's doing well. Yes. Fabiola is going to be away. You know, she works a lot of times. She is on location. For me, some of the work that I do, I will work on location, but it's locally. She travels a lot, so she's going to be away for a couple of weeks. So you're going to have to just deal with my ugly mug for a few weeks. So kind of deal with me. Anyways, let's see. John K. Wolf says not really loud. All right, so that means the audio can come up a little bit. Let me just go ahead and hit that up a little bit. Let me know if that's better. I don't want it to kind of zip through it and get too loud, but let me know if that sounds a little bit better. Let's see who else we have here. Ricky Joe says getting into the 60s tomorrow night. Wow, that is crazy. Let me just show you guys what just happened. It just happened just like minutes ago. This is like, I mean, it's a big deal for me. Let me see if I can bring this up. Let me see if this will work. Once again, we have we got some different things going on here. There it is. Look at that, guys. What the hell is that? 10 million views as of just now. This literally just came in through vidIQ just moments ago. So I just figured I'd take a little snapshot to show you guys. I mean, I just feel blessed. You know, when this channel is just kind of just become like its own thing, and it's all, you know, it's all due to you guys. I mean, I put in the work, but you guys are always here supporting me, and I really do appreciate it. So yeah, I might show this one more time before the end of the show tonight, because this is like, for me, it's a really big thing. I can't even believe it. 10 million views. It's like lot of views. Anyways, look at this, guys. I have a map up. Some of you have been talking about, hey, I now have Starlink available to me. Do you notice what's going on? Let me just back up a little bit. Do you see this area over here? All this light area is available, right? You can get Starlink today. The darker, let's say this medium, is a waiting list. But look at all of these holes. Look at all these holes. This was like almost all dark the last time we were here. Like, what was it, Friday? Last Friday or the Friday before? This was like a lot of dark. Now it's like really lightening up. So there was a bunch of people that said, hey, listen, we now have service available to us. That's like amazing to me. Absolutely amazing. So really good stuff. Really good stuff. Once again, any questions that you have, put a Q before your question or at JCristina, and I will try not to miss it. Let me see. Moore says, when will the Gen be available to order? I guess you were talking about the Gen 3. I did a video about that, I think 2 videos ago or something. So what is going on is this. There's actually 2 things that's going on. Number one, the Generation 3 routers are now available, but they are available to folks that have a Generation 1. So if you have a Generation 2, you cannot buy a Generation 3. Sorry. It's just the way it's put together. You cannot use it because the Generation 1 has like a PoE or a power over Ethernet injector that's exterior to the router. Well, the version 3 also uses that PoE. Whereas with our version 2s, the Generation 2s, it's built into the router itself. So things are a little bit different. Also, it uses the old school regular Cat cables, Cat 5, Cat 6, Cat 7, Cat 8 cable, whatever you would like to use, that's what's being used. And with the Generation 2s, you have to use their proprietary cables. They're not bad cables. They could be thicker. The gauge on them is a little bit weak. That's why they burn up every once in a while. But they're not bad. Very well insulated. They're not bad. Anyway, so that's one thing. So you can't get it. If you have a Generation 2, you're going to have to wait for a Generation 4. That's number one. Also, if you are looking to get a brand new Starlink, let's say if you were to buy it today. I've been getting this question all the time. Joe, I just ordered my Starlink. Am I going to get the Generation 3? I know it's faster than Generation 2 because it's using Wi-Fi 6 instead of the Wi-Fi 5. The answer is no. You're going to get a Generation 2, second generation, when you buy a new one, because they don't have a new one. They just have the update to the first one. That's it. So that's to start out with. The second thing that we were dealing with in the past video is that finally the FCC approved 2 new dish. Now, there was about 200 dish that were, I did a video about this about 2 months ago or something, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and they were really putting these dish through the paces and cranking them up to like 100% duty cycle, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, being able to get feed, wireless feed. When I say wireless, I mean like phone calls right from the stars, right, from 550 kilometers up. So there's a lot of stuff that they were trying, and they figured out that they can increase the duty cycle from about 7% up to like 14, 15% without going over the radiation specs. So they did that, but also they changed different sizes. And what they've done now, which is really weird, is the new dish that is coming out is a mini dish. It's like 11 by 8 or something. It's like the size of like an iPad Pro. It's like 9 inches smaller than the one that we have right now, Mr. Bevel, right? So I just think that's wicked, and supposedly it's going to be even more powerful. So how they do this, I really don't know. I have no clue. Usually when you have a bigger antenna array, right? All of those little antenna that are in there, all those little nodes, you end up with a better signal, right? You get, less rain fade and all the rest of the stuff. So I don't know what they're doing. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. They also are putting together a new big ass one, right? As we call the Maxi instead of the Mini, which is like the one that you would have for business class. And that one is now, instead of square, which is like 22 by 20, it's now like 22 by like 14 or something. I don't know. It's gotten a little bit smaller, but it's become more rectangular. So while the small one is becoming more square, the high performance one is becoming more rectangular. I don't know. That's just what's going on, right? So anyways, that hopefully that answers your question. Let me see. What else do we have here? John. All right, here we go. Travis. All right. Radioactive Texan says, congratulations. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. A bunch of congratulations coming through for that 10 million view count. I can't even believe that. It's amazing. Thank you, Dominic, for that. Janice as well. Thank you. Let's see. Todd, James Todd says, I have a mobile Starlink and finally got residential approval. Can I use Starlink mobile router as a mesh router on my residential? So the routers, they're the same routers. Now, they might need to do something, let's say internally or through firmware or something, to turn the router into an AP, into an access point, into another, let's say, hand of your mesh. So find out from SpaceX about that. I would just write them a quick note. You might not need to do anything. Just reboot, go into reset to factory, and then boot up the other one. And then the other one might automatically find that one and say, hey, do you want to use that as an AP? And if that's the case, you say yes. And that's it. You don't have to do anything else. So we'll see what happens with that. Let me know, because I want to know for sure. But I'm going to guess that's probably what's going on. Also, I've been getting questions from people saying, hey, I have these Generation 1 APs. I bought a bunch of them. I made a mesh network. Is that going to work with Generation 2? Is it going to work with my Generation 3 if I upgrade to it? And the answer to that is yes. They will work all together. Because remember, the APs, that's all they are, is access points, right? They're dumbed down versions of a router. Let's just put it that way. Okay, that's basic. But anyway, so yes, you will be able to use those also. Gary, Starlink better in West Virginia. Yes, Gary, West Virginia is starting to get a little bit of coverage in there. Look, it's looking nice. Dwayne says, has anyone tried to splice 250-foot cable to get 250-foot cables together? I have heard that has worked. I did a video on how to splice them together using a breakout box and doing it like it's a very easy way. And I put in a list of all of the parts that you need, where to find them and which ones work and which cables and which items that you need. And the reason being is it's like the cable has to have a grounding cable in it. You can't use shielded. There's a lot that goes into it. So check out that video. If you go to Starlink, my Starlink playlist, and just search for repair or something like that, it should pop up. Take a look at that. But yes, I've heard people taking the 150-foot length and adding 100-foot for sure. Another like a Cat 8 or something, like a good cable, burial cable, a really good one. Adding it to it, so that's 250, and there was no problem. So 300 is probably not going to be a problem either, but give it a shot and then let me know. Flying Pretzel's here. How are you doing, Flying Pretzel? John, what is John having to say here? What is going on here? Why does this do this? I scroll down and all of a sudden it just goes boom and just, I don't even know. John says, question. Got a new update for Starlink, but now I do not have advanced speed tests. Why? That's a really good damn question. That means that they either got rid of it in the update. Let me see if I still have mine. That is a really good question. I haven't seen that to be an issue as of yet, John. So I will take a look at that kind of like as we go on here. Let me see if I can find that out right now, because there might be someone else that has the exact same question. Let's see. So let me know, John, did you end up downloading the latest patch or the latest revision, and that's when the advanced statistics kind of left? Let me see here. I'm in statistics right now. And you know what? I don't see advanced in here either. I have a speed test. Yeah, that's it. So that might have happened. They might have done something crazy here. There might be a slight pause. Anyways, you probably saw a little glitch, but it should be okay by now. Hopefully. Let's see. Gary, we got Gary's question already. Let's see. Sorry for that little pause, because I know when I switched on Speedify, there was going to be a pause. Sorry about that, guys. Eric, let's see. Eric says, if Starship makes a successful launch and flight, how long do you think until until they start sending out the payloads of the Gen 2s? So the version 2.0 maxis, the big ones, I would have to say those probably will not be sent into orbit until next year. Maybe the end of this year. It really depends on how quickly they can actually get Starship into orbit, then crash, not blow up, crash into the ocean, launch another one, do another loop around the Earth, crash into the ocean, do another one, and then possibly use the salad tongs, or as Elon calls them, the chopsticks, to grab that lower end, and it actually works. So there's going to be a bunch of testing that needs to be done before we see that actually go live. So hang in there for that. Now, some people ask me about this also, and like, how long is it going to be? And I was reading something that I found really interesting, and this had to do with what is going on with Elon right now with SpaceX and their Starship. Why are they not able to launch it? He said it's ready. It's sitting on the launch pad. It's all put together. It's stacked up, ready to go, right? So this is what I found. It says this. It says SpaceX conducted a test flight of the Starship Super Heavy at Boca Chica, Texas on April 20th, 2023. As a result of that launch, SpaceX completed its mishap investigation in the FAA oversight. This investigation analyzed the launch mishap event and corrective action. Before it is authorized to conduct a second Starship or Super Heavy launch, SpaceX must obtain a modified license from the FAA that addresses all safety, environmental, and other regulatory requirements. As part of that license application determination process, the FAA will review new environmental information, including changes related to the launch pad, as well as other proposed vehicle and flight modifications. Launch pad was a problem. Concrete blowing everywhere, that was an issue. The two stages didn't pull apart. They had to detonate it. They had to self-destruct it. So yeah, we have to work on that. The FAA will complete a written reevaluation, or a WR, to the 2022 Programmatic Environmental Assessment, or the P or PEE evaluation, or evaluating the new environmental information, including Endangered Species Act consultation with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. If the FAA determines, through the WR process, that the contents of the PEE do not remain valid in light of the changes proposed for Flight 2, additional environmental review will be required. Accordingly, the FAA has not authorized SpaceX's proposed Flight 2. The FAA will provide updates with notification and any license determination or result of additional environmental review. So, as of right now, the FAA came up with 63 problems that they needed to take care of. And out of those 63 problems, 57 of them were mission critical to the next flight. The other 6 need to be fixed before future flights. Okay? So they already fixed those 56. So all that they're waiting on is the environmental people, the Fish and Wildlife Service. And that's it. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. I mean, we don't want things killed. I mean, I am an environmental type of guy. I live out in the woods, so to speak, right? But sometimes these regulatory agencies, they drag their feet to such a degree that it baffles me. It doesn't baffle me because, they really don't like Musk very much, even though he's the only one that can get anyone into orbit to go and visit the ISS, right, the International Space Station, or get any type of goods, cargo there either. It has to go through SpaceX, right? So, you would think they would it's almost like a love-hate type of thing with the government and Elon. That's just the way it is. Anyways, I just wanted to read that to you because I thought it was very interesting. And it kind of shows, it sheds light basically on, where we stand with this whole Starship and why we haven't seen the Starship launch as of yet. So it's not going to happen in September, but it's my understanding we will see it happen next month, right? October sometime, I think we're going to end up seeing Starship launch again. And hopefully they don't have to hit that self-destruct button, number one. Hopefully there's not a shitstorm of concrete everywhere, destroying everything on the launch pad, and that deluge system where it's just pouring millions of gallons of water during the event where they're, firing up this 30 plus rocket engines it's just burning a hole basically in the ground. So they've done a lot of different things. They've encased the concrete now in stainless, in steel, and flowed water over it and through it to dissipate the heat, almost like a massive heat sink like you would create for your computer, right? And you attach to your GPU to kind of funnel or redirect the heat off it. That's basically what they're trying to do. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But as you know, these agencies dragging their damn feet. They just love that stuff. They love it. Let me get back into some questions before I go into a tangent, because there's a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about, I want to get into here. Let me see. Where did we leave off? Oh, there was something. You know what? Let me answer a couple more questions. Then I want to give you a link that you guys can use if you want to jump online with me tonight. I'm going to test it out. Don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. All right, let me see here. Eric, we got that one. Here we go. Ricky Joe says, I was going through my AT&T gateway settings yesterday, looking for some settings to make online gaming better. I seen something in the firewall that said block ping. I don't know what that is. What does that mean? Block ping. The only thing, sometimes you can get almost like not really a ping attack, but where people will send you information back and forth. Like it would be like a request and then it would answer, and then it send a request and then answer and send a request. And it actually can slow you down. So that could be what they're talking about. They could be also talking about a DOS or a denial of service type of attack. I really don't know. You can turn that on. That's not going to affect your gaming. I seriously doubt it. I think just AT&T in itself will affect the gaming, because a lot of times they have crap servers. They're the backbones that they use are not always the best, and they always go cheap. Trust me. I used to be a system administrator for years. I ran a software company also for about 13 years, but I was a system administrator for a long period of time, and I worked on a rack out of Boca Raton in the old IBM building, and it was the rack that was right next to Bell Atlantic's rack. So I used to hear all of the Bell, all of the AT&T stuff. That's why, I'm usually not speaking very well of AT&T, because I know the underpinnings of that company and all of the kind of nasty stuff that goes with it, and it's just horrible. Another thing to keep in mind, you guys were asking me what can you replace Starlink with, and I was telling you can do the 5G method. You have Verizon Internet Home, you have T-Mobile Internet Home. Now you have AT&T Internet Air. Warning: if you take AT&T's Internet Air, you get 7 days to say that you don't want it. If you don't say you don't want it, you're going to keep it, and they're most likely going to shut down your UVerse or your DSL, because AT&T is right now going through a cycle where they're trying to cut copper, go all fiber or all wireless, all 5G, LTE, or as they call it, 5E. It's like 5G extended, which is, it's just crap, right? We don't have 5G in this country if you didn't know it. You know, anyone that's in Europe that's right now in the chat, let us know. You know what? Do this. If you are in the chat right now and you are in Europe, anywhere in Europe, I don't care where you are, Germany, I don't, wherever you are, right? Italy, France, and you have a 5G connection, true 5G connection, what are your speeds? I speak to people over in Europe and they're getting gigabit speeds. They're getting just insanity speeds. We don't get shit here in the US. That's just the way it is. But anyways, in the chat, let us know what those speeds are. I'm interested. Let me see what else we have here. Thank you so much, Peter, for keeping up with the chat. Let's see. Spaceman, how are you doing, Spaceman? Says, he has a question, says, wait, so there will be a new dish coming out with Generation 3 router. So the new dish are not for a Generation 3 router. The new dish are just new dish. And they will be with the new equipment that comes out. The Generation 3 router is solely an update to the Generation 1. That's it. So if you have a Generation 2 router, you're good. You cannot even buy a Generation 3 if you wanted one. They won't sell it to you. So it's only to upgrade Generation 1 people to Generation 3. What I don't know yet, and I hope this happens, the Generation 3 has the ability to be a DC router instead of AC. I don't know if that is going to be the case. I'm hoping it is. And I hope that going forward, all of the routers become DC routers, meaning that you have a AC to DC converter instead of a power brick that's an AC power brick. And the reason I say this is it gives us the ability to be mobile with these without having to do the conversion from DC to AC. Because you lose power, you lose battery life converting from DC, a battery, to AC using an inverter. So I hope that happens, but we'll see. So I'm really interested to know what the version 4, the Generation 4 will be. I feel like the Generation 4 is going to be the best of the Generation 1 and the Generation 2 combined into one, but I just don't know how they're going to do it as of yet. So we'll see what ends up happening. Let me put this into the chat. So if anyone has a mic and they have a, let me see if this, does it work? Is it working? Is it working? No, it's not. If you have a mic and you have a camera connected to your computer and you want to try to come online with me tonight live, I just put in a waiting room, right? It's a link. If you go to that link, you can get on there and I can try to shuttle you over into the show. We can give it a shot, right? I don't know if it's going to work. Remember, there's a lot of new things going on here tonight. So we'll see. There was one other thing before I get into questions that I've been getting a lot of questions about. Like, how does this damn thing work? Or how does it work properly, right? So let me show you guys something, and then maybe you'll understand this, because sometimes people will ask me this, and then what will happen is it's sometimes hard to explain like how this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write this out real quick, and hopefully this will be more understandable. So let me see if this will work. Maybe right about here. Let me see if you guys are getting that. Do you see it? It looks like you probably see it. So if this is me, okay, this is where I'm located. This is my router, right? Then we have right above me, right? We'll just say it's above me, is the satellite, right? So we have this satellite that looks like this, okay? Bear with this absolute horrible drawing that's going on here. Do we see it? Yes, we got this satellite, right? So what happens is when I put in a request, it goes from my computer into the router. From the router, it goes into Dishy. And then Dishy sends it up to the satellite, all right? That's fine. Now, right next to me here, right down the road, let's call it, or close to me, there is a GS, which is a ground station. The satellite sends this information back to the ground station. Then the ground station sends the information to, let me just undo this. Hold on. Hopefully this works. Does it work? Does it work? Maybe. Let me undo. Hold on. Yes, here we go. So it ends up sending it to a POP, or here we go, nice and fat. And we'll go a little bit thinner on that. It goes to a POP, which is the point of presence. Then from the POP, it goes to the internet, right? Let's just call it the net. And that's where the request ends up being sent to. So once again, it goes from me to the satellite, from the satellite to the GS, which is your ground station. From your ground station, it goes through fiber optics to the POP. Then from the POP, it goes to the internet, to the backbone. Let's say it's a request to Google. It goes to Google and it gets the information. It sends it back. And then what happens? The exact opposite happens, right? So then the information goes from the net. Let's go ahead. We'll grab a different color here. This will be good. It goes this way to the POP. Then from the POP, it goes back to the ground station. From the ground station, it sends the data back up to the satellite. And then from the satellite, it sends it back down to me. That is basically the process on how this whole thing works. If it didn't work like this, well, then we would end up having problems. But this is what ends up creating latency, because the amount of time it takes to go from me to the satellite and back down is only about 3 to 6 milliseconds. All of the rest of the latency is happening between the ground station and the POP, and from the POP to the internet, from the internet to Google, then back, and so on and so forth, right? So this is where a lot of the latency happens. Even though it is going through fiber optics, what happens is a lot of these GSs, or a lot of these ground stations, are getting saturated. And I believe that is the reason why we see a lot of the waiting list area that normally you wouldn't see if there wasn't this issue. So, let's just take it as you will. I hope that helps, so you get an idea of how this whole thing works, because I've been asked so many times, like, how exactly does this whole thing work? Where does it go? Where does it go? Up in the air? Does it go here? Does it go there? What is going on? And that's basically how it works. Anyways, let's get back into some questions. Once again, if you have any questions, please go ahead and show me in the chat that little at or a Q, and then I will know, at JCristina or a Q, and then I'll know that it is a question that I need to take a look at. Let me see here. All right. Let's see. Spaceman, we got to you. Let me see. Spaceman says, just got the Starlink yesterday, and the stream is going without buffering at 1080p, which is unthinkable. Yeah, it's great. I mean, Starlink, for what it is definitely the best non-terrestrial internet service that's currently available out there. Hands down, Viasat, HughesNet are complete garbage in comparison to them. Ricky says, did you hear about the data breach from T-Mobile? Apparently two different things happened. First, 90 gigabytes of employee data was exposed. And second, the customers were able to see other customers' information. I heard about that. That's not the first problem. T-Mobile has had a lot of problems when it comes to data breaches. Their security is not great. And I don't know why. T-Mobile is Deutsche Telekom, Germany, Deutsche Telekom. And it's such a massive organization. I just don't get it. I don't know. I just don't get it. Let's see. John says, question, is Starlink making new receivers in the dish? Yes. So I think that's the reason why they're coming out with the new dish. I think the receivers, as you call them, are modem. If you don't know, the router is the router. The modem is actually in the dish. So these new dish will have new modems, and I'm going to guess they have new features that the Big Daddy satellites are going to be able to provide, most likely when it comes to dealing with, let's say, greater capacity, more satellites interacting with a certain terminal at the same time, simultaneously, maybe grabbing multiple satellites at the same time instead of just one, and then handshaking and doing all this. I don't know what they're going to be doing. Obviously, I don't work for SpaceX, but there's definitely something afoot that is stating that the performance is going to be much better, and that Americans are really going to appreciate it. And when I read that, I mean, it makes sense. And the reason it makes sense is because we know Europe, once again, like with 5G, they have just unbelievable speeds, right? Well, the same thing holds true when it comes to, matter of fact, here, we don't even have to, instead of me flapping my lips, right? So let's check this out. So if we come over here to, let's go over to SpaceX. Here we go. This is starlink.com/map. You guys can go to that and check it out. Well, check this out, okay? So if we change this from availability, let's go to download speed, all right? Do you see what it did? It changed this to download speed. And now when we hover over anything, we can see the download speeds are changing. So if I hover over Florida, the download speeds are between 41 to 130 megabits per second. Okay. If we go into Nebraska, it's about 40 to 120. If we go to Massachusetts, it's 67 to 150. That's not too bad. But in general, we're seeing somewhere in this area, which is about 100 megabits per second. I sent in, matter of fact, just before going live in the community chat. If you guys don't ever see my community chat, definitely check it out, because I put a lot of different things in there. I just put in a brand new speed test. It was like about 150 megabits down and like 18 megabits up with about 35 millisecond latency, which was really good for me. I was happy with that. But now look at this. Okay, so this is the US. Now watch when we go over here. Look at this area over here. What is that? Like I always say, the EU. This is Europe. Look at the difference. Now we know the lighter the color, the faster the speeds. The US is all dark. Now let's go into Europe, right? So if we hover, let's go into, let's see, Italy. 134 minimum, 134 to 217. Let's see, France, Paris, 120 minimum, maximum 205. Go over into Germany, 119, 203, Romania, 228, Hungary, 226, Kiev, they're in wartime over there, right? Look at this. Maximum speed, 221, Poland, 220, Spain, 245. So, you see what I mean? And then we just come right back over here into the US and we're sitting at this 36, here, what do we got? Georgia here or something? 36, maximum 105. So, Anyways, in short, they were stating that there is going to be some type of, it's supposed to be better for Americans. And the reason they said that is because the FAA, the FCC said, listen, if you do not keep with this specific data rate, if you fall below that, you are not going to be able to be called a broadband internet service provider. So SpaceX had to tighten up their shit, and this is what they're doing. So it is what it is. Let's see what else we got here. Ricky, how are you doing? Ricky, video stream is buffering off and on. That's not good. Let me see what we're doing here for Speedify. We have no outages, so I don't know what's going on. That could be a YouTube issue. Let's see. Dennis, how are you doing, Dennis? Moving into, let me see, Spaceman 47 says, is it not showing up because you have to run the speed test before it will show the advanced speed test option? It's a that's a possibility. That's a possibility. Let me know if someone could do a speed test for me on their phone. Let me know if advanced speed test is still there for you. And then also see if you can check to see if you have the latest version of the software. Let's see, coming down here. How are you doing, Melvin? How are you doing, David? Let's see, Peter. I was sitting on the PC and I was doing a speed test, speedtest.net. I'm doing it online. And I found out that the speed test wasn't showing up. The real speed then I downloaded the app and it did for my PC. So yes, usually the app gives you pretty good data. It just really depends. It really depends because sometimes the computers are not as fast as your internet. Now I know you, Peter, have fiber, I believe, and you're sitting at gigabit type of speeds, and sometimes the computers cannot keep up with it, whereas the phones can, which is crazy. And it has to do with Wi-Fi, 5, Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 7. Really depends on what you have there. Let's see, Spaceman says, Starship Plus Super Heavy requires a lot of FAA approvals. It's absolutely nuts when you look at the documents and see how much is done before the launch. Absolutely. There's so many approvals. It's crazy. Audrey says, question. I pre-ordered Starlink a year ago. It finally arrived yesterday, and I watched your video, which were awesome, about the new dish coming out. What should I do? Should I return it or wait? No. Absolutely not. Because the dish that you got, Audrey, is the exact dish that you're going to get now, and it's the same dish you're going to get in a month from now. You're not going to get anything new as of yet. Eventually, but just not yet. So just hang in there. Enjoy what you have. It's not going to make that much of a difference. Trust me. You'll be fine. Let's see. David says, are you connected to your Starlink internet? It's still showing up after standard speed test. For me, I am. Oh, okay, so it is showing up. So that's good. That's really, really good. Thank you for that, David. So advanced is still showing up. That's good. Spaceman says, why did Starlink ship my dish overnight? That's a good question. I like that, though. If they ship a dish to you overnight, I think it's fantastic. Starlink, they do some really crazy stuff, where people have just awful service with them because they just have an atrocious, absolutely atrocious service department. When I say that, the people that you get are awesome once you get them. The problem is you're going through a ticketing system. So it might be an hour, it might be a day, it might be a week before you get an answer. So I really do think they need to come up with a different methodology here. They need to have like a 24-hour chat, let's say, where you can just chat online and you still don't need to talk to anybody. And then maybe even a 9 to 5, instead of 24-hour where you can actually talk to someone. They need to get to that level, right? They need to put call centers out there. And then they also need to have call centers in, I want to say, in the regions where they're going to be helping people, right? Like, I don't want to call Starlink and get someone in Dubai. I want to call Starlink and get someone in Boca Chica. I want to get someone in the US. All right. And then if you are in Dubai, or if you're in the EU, you're in Europe, I want you to get someone over there, right? Number one, that feeds the people in the region. And number two, the people have a better time, an easier time with communication, right? So we'll see what happens with that. That's what I'm hoping happens. But, like I said, I don't work there, and, hopefully they can get that to happen. I don't know. But anyways, congratulations on getting that dish after a year. That's fantastic. That is great. Let's see. Moving down, and of course it just jumped as it always does. Here we go. Spaceman, why, how, I guess, absolutely. Starlink's new ship makes more damage. We'll see what ends up happening with that. I don't know. It says Starlink's new ship makes more damage. Let's see. Cuban Mama, how are you doing? Thank you for being here. It says thanks for all that you do for those of us with Starlink service while on the road. Thank you. Really do appreciate that. Let me see. Is anyone in the control panel here? Yes, we are. Who do we have? Let's see. I'm going to try bringing someone in. So if you hear me, if you're in there, just hang in there just a second. I'm going to try bringing you on. We're going to try in just a second. Let me just get through a couple of questions real quick here. Scott, why does Elon need 42,000 satellites in space to provide broadband? Surely the current 5,000 satellites is enough to cover the world. Kind of, sort of. You need more satellites. The reason you need more satellites is because they're close to Earth. Maybe I'll draw something for you, but I'm not going to do it right now. Think of this. The satellites that are in LEO, or low Earth orbit, are about 550 kilometers. You have MEO, right, which is about 10,000 to 20,000 kilometers. And then you have GEO, where you have your geocentric or your geostationary satellites that are about 35,000 kilometers. So you got 550 kilometers to 35,000 kilometers. The satellites at 35,000 kilometers, they are able to project the information, the signal, right, to a big swath of people, right? A massive, they can cover, you can have one satellite covering like the entire East Coast or entire Central America, for example. Whereas with a satellite that's so close, it is very directional. It can only cover a small area of the planet, right? As it's coming by at 17,000 miles per hour. So you need a lot of them, because as they're whipping by and handshaking each other as they're coming by you, right, they're only covering a small node, let's say, in comparison to those geocentric or those geostationary satellites that are way out far away that can cover a big area, right? Think of it as a wide-angle lens compared to a telephoto lens, okay? Think of it that way. So that's the reason why they need so many. There's other reasons, but that's one of the reasons. Hopefully that's helpful. Let me see here. Let me get into, you know what? Let me get into a couple more questions, and I'm going to see if we can bring someone on with us here. Let's see. Spaceman says the stainless steel landing pad is now cooling with nitrogen. Is it really? I didn't know that. I thought it was only a water deluge system, so that's fantastic. So that's great. I mean, it's not going to blow up this time. I have a good feeling. I mean, they might have to blow it up like if it doesn't separate, but they're doing like a hot separation now where there's like a grill in between the two, and it like fires off the rockets, the rocket engines, to actually blow the bottom off, which they didn't have the last time. So there's definitely a lot of new stuff that's happening. So hopefully that helps. Eric says, question, when Bezos rolls out his version of Starlink, do you think Starlink will be adjusting their monthly rates? Do not hold your breath on Bezos and his bullshit. Project Kuiper is a pipe dream. It is a fantasy of this man. Okay, will it happen? Yes, it will happen. It's just it's not happening now. So he showed, he's like, oh, look, this is what my terminal is going to look like. And it's this small and all this just complete crap. And he showed like all of these prototype terminals and stuff, just stop. He does not have a single satellite in orbit. Not like one, not like none. There's not even there's nothing. There's not even a prototype. There's nothing to even go by. So he was saying that, I'm going to have service available by 2024. I don't see it. If he has even the basic service, I don't even see it. But let's say even if he did, it would literally be with like a couple of hundred satellites. How many satellites is he going to be able to get up? He doesn't want to use SpaceX because he's got a massive chip on his shoulder, right? So he hasn't made that phone call to Elon, say, hey, can you get me into orbit? These guys over there, my company, Blue Origin, we got ULA, they're not working. All these companies aren't getting me into orbit. Can I pay you? Can you like give me like a shuttle ride up, like a little Uber, little Lyft? But he won't do it. So just forget about the whole Bezos thing. In a year, we'll contemplate. Is it going to be worth anything? Are they going to do anything with it? OneWeb is something that we can look at. OneWeb merged. They came together with like EUSat or whatever it is, another company. So there's two. And I think there's like 600-700 satellites already in orbit. They actually have satellites. Unlike Bezos, it doesn't even have one, not a single satellite does Project Kuiper have in orbit. Anyways, hope that's helpful. Let me see here. Denmark, but I don't have 5G. Yes. New Zealand. Look at this, Stephen. In New Zealand, it's getting 5G up to 1,100 megabits down and 130 megabits up. I'm glad to see stuff like that, because I say this all the time. Once again, if you are overseas, you're in Europe and you have 5G, in the chat, put what that speed is. I would love to know. Also, Peter says, what there was just an advertising in live. Was it really an advertising that came up? What the heck? What are they doing? That is weird, but I don't know. Anyways. Let's go and do this here. Let me see if I can hold on just a second. Let me see if this works. Hang in there. We do have someone in the chat. Let me see if this works. Hopefully it does. We will see. Let me go into here. This will be kind of interesting because we'll actually see if it ends up being a possibility and working. I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Here we go. Are we going to be able to bring him in? Let's see. Let's see if it happens. Maybe. Maybe not. Possibly. Wow. Are you there? So it did work. Excellent. Is it laggy? Yeah. So don't look at yourself. Yeah, so don't. Okay, yeah. So don't look at yourself in the live feed, or let's say, because it's going to be behind a little bit. Just look at me. Just talk to me, and not the feed, because if not, it'll get you kind of all messed up. So tell me, what is your name? Are you able to hear me yet? Ethan? There you go. Ethan? Good. Oh, there we go. Spaceman. They can't hear me? Okay, well, that's not good. Let's see. They can hear you, but they can't hear me. Can they hear you or no? Yeah, you should be. You can see me? You got it? You can see me on there? Okay, gotcha. Okay, there you go. There you go. So is everyone able to hear me still in the stream? And can you hear, what was your name again? Ethan. That's right. Sorry. So can everyone hear Ethan, and can you hear me? Once again, this is the first time that we're doing this, so we're just giving it a shot. See if it works. Uh, yeah, just pause the stream. That's the best way. Just pause the stream, and then you can always go back to it. That's fine. That's fine. Anyway, so yeah, go right ahead. So tell everyone who you are and like what do you do, and are you using Starlink? How is it working out, and all the rest. Anything else that you want to kind of. Oh, sweet. I love it. Yeah, that's great. That's great. So what kind of speeds are you getting? So you just got it today. What kind of speeds are you getting? What's your down speed, up speed, mean, somewhere right around there? What are you getting? Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, 20. That's really really good. So, if you guys don't know, if you get a Starlink and set it up, it takes at least a good day, a solid day, for it to kind of work itself out. What it's going to do is it's going to look at all the trees around you. Matter of fact, I just got an email, and I'm not going to read it all. It's a very long email. I try to answer everyone as much as possible, but I'm going to do this here live. And they said, listen, I have a ton of trees, kind of like you, right? I have a ton of trees, and I'm having an issue where it's saying that I'm having, like, there's a, let's say, an obstruction, and then there's not obstruction, the obstruction, I'm not obstruction. Sometimes that happens when the trees are moving. That's number one. Number two, what Starlink attempts to do is it maps where the obstructions are, and then it correlates where the satellites fly over in accordance to where the obstructions are. And if the satellites are not flying over in a path that is going to be obstructed, what it will do is it will then hone in to the smaller area and then no longer say that you have an obstruction there, because it already has taken that into account. And that's what, hopefully, if you are watching, that this way I don't have to actually answer it, by typing it in. If you do see that, that's probably what's going on. The best thing to do is, if you have a lot of trees, is put that thing on a pole as high as you can get it, and you'll be able to see the. Is that what you're doing? Yeah, that's a good idea. Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's a smart thing to do, because then you can get as much of the sky as possible, and that's the whole idea of it. So that's excellent. That is excellent. If anyone else wants to come on, because what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of switch through. If anyone else does want to come on with us here, we'll kind of switch people out. I'm going to go and put in the chat a link. If you go there, you can get into like the queue, and then I can kind of bring you in also. So anyways, let's get into a couple of questions real quick, and then there's no audio for you? There's no audio? Interesting. No audio. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's I'm wondering why that is. So hang in there 1 second. That shouldn't be, but is there an echo? Yeah, it's probably because it's coming through twice. Well, you know what? We'll have to go through this. I'll have to do some more testing with it so we can get the audio just right. But anyways, I'm sure everyone's been, listened to the response. So anyways, Ethan, thank you for being on. But maybe in the next time, I'll be able to get more people on, because then I can do some more testing to see why the audio isn't going through, because it should be going through, but, it's obviously something with OBS, but that's okay. No worries. Thank you anyways for being here. We do appreciate it. It's awesome, awesome, awesome. So let me get into some of these questions real quick here before I fall too far behind, because that's what ends up happening. Let me see here. Okay, 5G in New Zealand. Melvin says, oh, we got that already. Yeah, no, that was you. That was you. No, no worries, no worries. All right, Ethan, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, we'll see you on the next. We'll see you probably in the next one. Maybe we can go live one more on the next time. Let me see here. Let's see. We have Crying Wolf or Cry Wolf. It says on the third day after 4 months wait in VA was on HughesNet. So it was the first time I've seen in 1080. Wow. So Cry Wolf basically now has gone from HughesNet to Starlink, and now instead of probably looking at the show in 480 or 360, they can actually see it in 1080, which is amazing. I know that's the way, honestly, that's the way it was for me too. When I was with AT&T, it was just absolutely horrible. And then once I got Starlink, that's why I started doing this and sharing everything that I've learned with you guys, because I found it to be just so life-changing. I'm like, well, I might as well share my experience with other people. Not like I'm getting paid for it or something, but I might as well share it with you guys because maybe I'll help 1 or 2 people. And it seems that the channel has definitely been growing and it seems to be helping people. So that's really, really good. Let's see. Doug says, have a good evening. I'm out. Thank you so much, Doug, for being here. Kroll, Katana says, would you work for Starlink given the right opportunity? Honestly, if SpaceX called and said, listen, we have a job for you, we want you to do this or whatever, I would definitely look at it. And the reason being is I really do like what Elon is doing. Some people like him, some people don't. Just like anyone else, there's going to be good and bad to everyone, but I really do like what they're doing. And I have to say that a lot of these companies, a lot of these ISPs have been giving millions and millions and millions of dollars over the years to bridge the digital divide, so to speak. And they have not done it. They say that they're going to do it, and they never did. And while Elon did get a good chunk of money from the government moving into all of this, he actually has been giving people like myself and a lot of the other people that you see right now on live an ability to have high-speed internet access in the woods. High-speed internet access in rural environment, high-speed internet access on the top of a mountain, on a plane, on a train, on a boat, anywhere on the planet, okay? So it is really life-changing for a lot of people. So I think that is, so, back to the question, would I work, with them? I would. I really would. I mean, obviously things would have to all kind of marry up properly, but I really would, because I do have a passion for the company and what they're doing, and I can appreciate what they're doing. So hopefully that kind of answers it. Let's see, I have a question. This is John K. Wolf says, question, have you got the new T-Mobile hub? I did not. I am going to be calling T-Mobile to see if I can get the new one. The new one, my understanding, does have a means of connecting a MIMO antenna on the back of it. That's fantastic. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. We will see. I will definitely look into it because that would be really good, really good. Let's see. Why is this? Yeah, there was no audio with him. I'm sorry about that, guys. We'll get it straight. That was just a test. Anyways, it was a test. Didn't work. My apologies. Let's see. Eric says, why can't we combine or merge the ground station with the POP to eliminate one step? Well, it's a good question, Eric. It's a good question. The ground stations are a means to shuttle data, right, around to the POPs, whereas the POPs are the ones that are sitting closer to the backbone. So the closer that you can, okay, Eventually, you really won't need ground stations anymore. And the reason being, in my personal opinion, is a lot of the ground stations, a lot of the network operation centers will be happening in LEO. They'll have those big ass satellites up there, and they will have certain satellites, in my opinion, I've never been told this. This is what I would do. I would have big satellites up there that actually have the processing power of like a ground station. And now that we see that the version 1.5s and the version 2.0 minis and the version 2 satellites all have lasers built in, communication lasers built in. Since they have these lasers built in, they can communicate back and forth in LEO, and they don't have to send the information back down to go back up and down and up and all this stuff. So that whole thing that I drew, if you took the ground station out of it, right, and you had from you to the satellite, and then from the satellite to the next satellite, and the next satellite, and next satellite, until that satellite is closest to a POP, then it feeds the data down to the POP. The POP gets the information from the internet and then fires it back up to a satellite. And then once again, it bounces from satellite to satellite to satellite to satellite to you, to close to where you are, and then shoots it back down to your dish. That is the way I see this working in the future. Will it happen? I don't know. If it does happen, you heard it here first. I don't know. That's the way I would do it, because it just simply makes sense. There's no reason to have to run a ton of these ground stations all over the damn place if you have a means to put these NOCs, or these network operations centers, in LEO and move the data at the speed of light, in a vacuum, instead of having to move it on the ground. That's just the way I would do it. So anyways, it's a great question. I think we're going to continue to see more and more ground stations open until they figure out how to do what I'm saying should be done, if they ever do that. We'll see. Let's see. That's a great question, though. Love it. Doug says, at least I can chat. My wife is, let me see, again, nothing is about functioning in the North. Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully, Doug, a lot of people are having are having problems with not having good quality internet. And that is one of the things that I thought was just amazing with SpaceX Starlink, is they are now, we're able to get, just so you get an idea, my AT&T that I had originally was 7.5 megabits down and 0.7 megabits up. That's less than 1 meg. And then they came out and made a bonded pair. So AT&T took 2 lines, put them together, bonded them, and now I'm able to get 15 megabits down and 1.5 megabits up. Basically, the speeds that you get like in the late 90s, the early 2000s, that's what I get currently here through AT&T. If I didn't have Starlink, or if I didn't have T-Mobile, or if I didn't have any of the other alternatives, right? So yeah, that's why I love AT&T so much. Let's see. Spaceman says vehicle typically run on 12 volt DC. Yep. But homes run on 120 or 220 AC. Absolutely. Will the new router run correctly with 12 volt DC? I'm hoping that it does. If it's not 12 volt DC, maybe it's 18, maybe it's 24. There's different things that you can do for that. But as long as the new routers can actually keep it, or the new router dish combination can actually keep it as a DC, and then convert to AC, and then its original is DC to begin with, and then you can actually run it through battery. That's going to be great for anyone that's in an RV, anyone that's using the unit, out and about. They want to take a big, deep cycle battery, stick it next to them, plug in their SpaceX Starlink, and be able to surf the web for days on end with like one big deep cell battery, that kind of stuff. So, and then attach that to a solar panel, and now you have basically infinite internet anywhere on the planet, right? So hopefully they do that. I think that would make a lot of sense. Are they doing it? I don't know. Once again, a lot of the stuff that we do on this channel is speculation, because I don't work for them, but I try to give ideas, and hopefully some of them stick. Katana says, oh, I got to that one already. Let's see. Peter says Denmark has 5G, but I don't have it. We've gotten to that one already. Let me just come down here. Greg says, congratulations on the 10 million. Yes, guys, I can't even believe that. We hit 10 million today. 10 million. 10 million. That is absolutely bizarre to me. Absolutely bizarre. Let me pull this up. Just so I can just look at it one more time. Look at that. 10 million. Guys, that happened. That happened just before going live on the stream tonight. 10 million views. I know it's not a lot for many channels, but for this channel, seeing that 10 million, that was sweet. That was definitely sweet. Let's see. Ricky Joe says, since I got AT&T fixed wireless internet and the cell phone tower has the fiber haulback or backhauling, does the fiber go to the ground station or directly to the POP? Since no. So if you're using AT&T, how they work usually is you're getting, let's say, that 5G connection to the tower. The tower is connected to a fiber cable, and all of the data from each one of those towers goes directly through fiber to their CO or their central office or their NOC or their network operations center. And then from there, it shoots over to a backbone, the backbone, class 4, anyways, it goes to a backbone into the internet. So that's basically how it goes. If you're going to use Starlink, then we use the ground stations. But with if you're using AT&T fixed wireless, it doesn't really work like that. It goes directly to their CO, right to their central office. Let's see. Let's keep on going down here. I feel like I'm falling behind. I don't want to run it too long tonight. Let me see. My downloads last night are 310 megabits in the Philippines. Holy hell. That is awesome. That was from David. That's amazing. David says, another David Streck says, do speeds slow down on the new mobile plans? And if so, by how much? So mobile plans are going to be deprioritized because they are mobile, but people are seeing some pretty good speeds, and it really has to do with congestion. So, how congested is the area where you're mobily moving to? If you're going into a congested area, you're going to have slowdown. If you're going into an area where there's no one, well, you're probably going to have basically as fast as it can go at that time. Let's see. John says, question, how long does it take to get a satellite working? So when SpaceX launches the satellites, they don't go to 550 kilometers. They go into about, let's say, 200-300 kilometers. And then over the course of sometimes a week, sometimes 3 weeks, maybe a month, they slowly move into their orbital pattern and height, their altitude. So, and that operational altitude right now is between 530 and 550 kilometers. But like I said, they start out much lower. They start out in that 300 kilometer range, and then they slowly work up. So it does take sometimes a week, sometimes it takes a month to become operational. I have not heard of any of the 2.0 minis in operation yet. Why is that? I don't know. I have not heard it, but maybe they are. Let's see. Let's move down here. Let's see. John says the new Starship after this one is going to be twice as long. Big Elon says because it's going to ship suppliers and people will get them to Mars. Yeah. So I think the Starship, as you see it, is how it's going to be. But that thing is going to be able to transport hundreds of tons of cargo into space per launch. Right now, the cargo is, I believe, it would take about $1 billion per ton. If you were to send something to like Mars, for example, that the thing is it needs to be like less than $1 million per ton for it to actually work, because he's trying to get, number one, he's not only, he's building this system so that we have connectivity, right? we're going to see, in my personal opinion, don't quote me or quote me, we're going to see Starlink satellites revolving around the moon. I don't see why not. And they will be connected at all times through laser communication to satellites here on Earth. And then most likely there'll be also these satellites revolving around Mars that will also be connecting to the moon and then connecting to the Earth as they revolve through lasers. But I believe the speed is like 6 minutes. I think it is 6 light minutes to get data from like Mars, somewhere around there. Don't quote me. 6 to 9 minutes or something like that. So it's slow. It's slow because it's far, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of that going on where we're going to not only move a lot of product, a lot of stuff into orbit, but we're also going to move a lot to the moon. And I believe there's going to be a space station built on the moon within probably the next 10 years, 20 years. There'll be a space station on the moon. That's my speculation. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, there's a lot that needs to be done before that happens. Peter says, how's the bathroom remodeling going? Do not ask. The wife is not home. She is away. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. No, I'm going to get into it this weekend. I got to get some of it done. I got to get more of it done. I got some work done last weekend. Let's see. Audrey says another question. Since you said that the dish is a modem itself. Yes, the modem is inside the dish. Does it matter if it's raining, cool, or hot, or just moved from Portland, Oregon to Northport, Florida, and it's hot and the dish is hot? It's not a problem. It dissipates the heat. If you are getting snow on the dish, it will heat up and then melt the snow. So it has not a problem with it. Now the router is a different story. You want to keep the router cool. You don't want it to be too hot because that can definitely overheat, but I have not heard of any of the modems overheating in the Starlink dish. If you guys are in Arizona and it's 120 degrees out, let me know if you have had any problems with it, but I haven't heard any. The way it heats up, there's not a heater in the dish. Some people think that there's like a heater inside there. There's no heat. What it does is it increases the amp load to all of the circuits in the dish, which basically heats it up at that point, and then the snow melts off it. That's how it heats. Let's see. Let me keep on going down here, see what other questions we have. Sparky says, just set up and using the Starlink for the first time. Congratulations, Alberta, Canada. Way to go. That's awesome. Congratulations, Sparky. Radioactive Texan. Can't hear him. Yep, that was from before. Yeah, there was a problem. We're gonna fix that. We will fix it. The audio will be fixed. Let's come down here. We got a lot of comments on the no audio, which we will have to fix for the next time. I appreciate everyone letting me know. Let's see. Tool Ranger says, I'll be a guinea pig. No worries. We will definitely get everyone online as soon as we can. We'll do it maybe on the next one. We'll see what happens. We just have to get the audio working. We'll do some testing, and then we'll get some people online. It'll be a lot of fun. It's cool to be able to have, just like we had Ethan on. I think it'd be cool to be able to have just any of you guys come online. AM Link says 110 milliseconds. Wow. It says, what is the best ping on Starlink? Yeah, so 110 milliseconds, that is a horrible ping. Some people don't get this, but the really good thing about Starlink is the milliseconds, the ping. And I'm going to get into that in just a second. I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you an understanding. Hopefully I'm going to show you how that works in just a minute. Let me just try to kind of blow through a couple more questions. If I miss your question, once again, put a Q before your question or put an @JCristina so I see it easier. Let's see, I have YouTube Premium, so no ads show for me. Yep, there you go. No ads on YouTube Premium. I'm surprised ads even show. I don't have ads turned on this thing. I don't know how they even YouTube pushing ads through the live. They shouldn't do that. I don't know. I have to look into that. What is the best ping on Starlink? Amlex says usually about 20 is the best. 25 is the best. Right now, I'm getting between 28 and 35 milliseconds for the ping. We see hi from Elvis and we have Oscar from Alaska. How are you doing? Elvis is from Newfoundland, from Canada. Welcome. If you are new here, if you've never been here before, in the chat window, just say hello, just so that I can shout you out and say hello. That's awesome. Just say hello. If you have any questions, put them down there. This is a tight knit group of couple hundred people, right? There's a lot of people that watch the videos, but not as many people come live on Fridays. But all the people that do, they're a really great crowd. And if you have a question, if I don't get to it, sometimes they'll answer it for me. So definitely put your questions in here. And if I don't get to it, someone else will, certainly. Peter did say that there was some buffering going on. Right now, Speedify is doing good, luckily. Let's see what other questions we have here, and then I want to show you something here. Let's see. Tool Wrangler says, what is that redundant service he runs called again? So I'm running right now what's called Speedify. If you go to jcristina.com/speed, once again, jcristina.com/speed, I have like a discount over there. You can use them if you like. It's freaking awesome. The way it works is like this. It takes multiple connections and bonds them together. So I have AT&T, which is complete shit. I have AT&T, I have T-Mobile, and I have Starlink. I bind all three of them together and use a packet level or packet-based type of bonding so that it's not a session-based. A lot of the routers out there, the cheaper routers, do a session-based. So if you go down, you have to restart your feed, let's say. It's done. Whereas if I go down here, it just keeps on going, right? So if Starlink was to be unplugged right now, well, T-Mobile will just keep on sending you the feed, and that's it. Or if T-Mobile died right now, then AT&T and Starlink would. Anyways, so it's called Speedify, and it's a means to actually do a bonding of services so that you don't end up with downtime. That's basically what it is. Let's see. Tool Wrangler says, damn, 10 million. Yeah, I can't even believe it. 10 million. It was kind of crazy. Real Nikon lover, thank you so much for that super chat. That is really, really nice. Blessings to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really do appreciate that. Super chats are so nice. Let's see. Eugene Smith says, why cannot Starlink? Why cannot Starlink? Gallagher says AT&T just tossed them into the garbage and go T-Mobile. Gallagher, I cannot agree more. Gallagher says, not sure where to find it. Did you make a poll or lives during the week? Also, gaming setup. I did not. But this week I will be doing a poll because I want to know when you guys would like to see me go live, possibly during the week for a short period of time. I want to do a couple of more because I can only do this for so long. Like we're in like an hour and 20 minutes. I want to definitely be done by like an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours like the most. I don't want to go too long. So I might do another live during the week. And I'm going to put out a poll and see what you guys want, let's say. So watch for that poll in the community chat area. Let me see. We don't want to miss any here. Peter, God, I hate you. Peter says he's getting 992 megabits down and 1,057 megabits up with 6 milliseconds. That's fiber in Denmark. God, that's awesome. That is awesome. That is great. Oscar says, what is SpaceX doing at Alaska, saying that they're offering some sort of service? I don't know what is going on with Alaska. Let me know. I have not heard anything from over there. Gallagher said, I would love to be able to get T-Mobile or Verizon home internet, but unfortunately both of them don't have cell towers close to me. Yeah, that's an issue. If you can get AT&T, in AT&T Internet Air, try it. Definitely don't look at HughesNet. Definitely don't look at Viasat or anything like that for sure. I mean, that's just, I'm talking about as redundancy. It's horrible. Let's see. A few friends on the island and better pings than me. That happens. No, ping is so. Amlek 2002 says between 50 and 80 milliseconds. Well, that's not horrible. It's not great, but it's not horrible. Heat, snow, not good. Yes, I know. How many? Let's see. Alex says, "How can I fix my problem? I have no obstructions." The problem with that is if you have no obstructions and you're still having an issue, it could be a wire issue. It could be one of the wire ends could be a problem. It could just be a problem. Maybe you just need to reboot it, factory reboot it. Make sure that it's up to the latest firmware update, the latest updates. Make sure everything's updated. If none of that works, I would write into Starlink and say, look, I'm getting this, this, and this. Why am I getting this obstruction issue? Why am I getting this? There is no and see what they come up with. They might send you a whole new damn system, and I've seen it happen before. So keep that in mind. That does happen. Let's see. My first visit, Elvis, Michael, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. I'm trying to scroll down. We don't want to miss anybody. Radioactive says, what project are you doing with the Pi? Here it is, bud. There is the Pi. I have not done anything with it as of yet. This is going to be. I'm thinking of a couple of projects. I don't know if you guys if you don't know what a Raspberry Pi is all about. Let me open this here and show you. Let me get this thing out. This is what it looks like. Does it actually pop in there? Is it focusing on it and not my face? There we go. So that is the Raspberry Pi, right? So I'm going to use this to build out a couple of projects. And some of them are going to have to do with Starlink. I think I'm going to do maybe a Pi hole. I might do some routing stuff. I might do also something that maybe is like a add black hole type of thing. I have a bunch of projects that I want to do with this. But anyways, I just opened it just now. So we'll see. Keep subscribe to the channel and you'll see what I do with this. I got a bunch of projects. I think what I'm going to do is I'll do like one project, then I'll take it apart and do another project and take it apart and just do a whole bunch of different things because I love this stuff, I really do. It's just a lot of fun, let's see here. Let me see. I don't want to miss anyone. If I missed your question, put it in again. Once again, put a Q before your question or put at JCristina. That helps also. I'm directly into an RJ45 and have a better ping. Yes, my ping sucks. And yeah, so if you want the fastest connection, always go through an Ethernet port, no matter what. That's going to be your quickest connection. Radioactive says, what project you're working with? I answered that one. Speedify, Tool Wrangler says, I've got a printer hardwired on one network. No wireless on the unit, but usually connect to Starlink each time I want to print. You can do that. I have to switch. Would Speedify allow X-Talk? What you could do, people have had a lot of problems with not having a static IP address because Starlink uses CGNAT, which is carrier grade NAT, and they need to have a static IP address for, let's say, their printer, and they want to be able to print from anywhere. Well, if you go through pure VPN, go to jcristina.com/VPN. They have a thing where it's like, I want to say it's like $2, $1.50, $2, $2.50. I don't know, a couple of bucks, okay, per month, and they will give you a static IP address, and they'll also give you port forwarding. So not only do you have your own static IP address, but now you can forward all the ports that are necessary for your printer, or all of the ports that are necessary for your camera, or whatever, So look into that. A lot of people have done that, and it's worked out really well for them. The one thing that I found out that doesn't work, that someone tried, was the Magic Jack. Yeah, that phone, the VoIP phone thing. For some reason, it don't work. I don't know. I mean, There's a lot of other VoIP possibilities. You don't have to use a Magic Jack. I mean, Magic Jack has been around for, I don't know, 15 years or so. So, maybe there's something going on with that, but that's the only thing that I know of that didn't work. Let's see. Kevin, how are you doing, Kevin? Thank you for being here. Roy, how are you doing from California? Real Nikon Lover says Spectrum Copper Fiber Mix, 950 megabits down and 40 megabits up. Love that. That is sweet. That is sweet. Love that. That is some nice speed right there. Wow. Do you have any additional details on what causes the recent outage? So yes, the recent outage that happened, that blackout that happened, I did a whole video on that. And, there was a lot that at the time came out where people were speculating that it was this and that, and it was Russia that did it, and then other people were saying no, it wasn't Russia, it had to do with someone else or something else, it was a hack, or it was China, or it had to do with the Ukraine and some kind of war development or whatever. It was absolutely none of that. It was none of that. And the thing was, the blackout happened because there was a software configuration that was introduced into their POP, or their point of presence, that were in all of their POPs. And the software configuration failed. Someone fat thumbed something, they screwed up the code. And what SpaceX had to do was roll back the configuration files, and then the configuration needed to be rebooted. In other words, the servers had to be rebooted, and that sometimes takes 15 minutes, sometimes it takes half an hour. It just depends on getting all of them all back up online and synced. So it was a total of 90 minutes that there was a outage last week or the week before, where it was a full blackout. And I shouldn't say full, because there were some people that did not get affected. And I think what happened is the POPs that did not roll the new update weren't affected. Any POP that rolled the new update, they were taken out. So they had to roll those back and then, reboot, and they were back online. That's basically what happened with that. Let's see, Viasat. We have a throwing up emoji. That's basically it. Absolutely. Don't get Starlink from Amazon. It costs almost double from the standard dish and might be two-hand. What? Really? I didn't even know that, John. I didn't know that they cost double. If you need Starlink, buy it from SpaceX. Don't get it from it. Don't get it from anyone. You don't need to. Let's see. Joe says, what is a static IP address? Where do you get it, and how do you use it? Thanks for the answer. That's from Joe. So a static IP address is like, let's look at it this way. The IP address that you get from Starlink, okay, is going to be a CG-NATed address, meaning, let's say the address is 10.10.10.10. That's my address. Well, my next door neighbor that also uses Starlink, his address might be 10.10.10.10 also, just like mine. Now you say, well, how can there be two, right? Because IP addresses are like street addresses. They're like homes, right? There can't be, multiple people in one home. Or could there be? The answer to that is yes. What happens is these companies are cheap. So they build condos. And they all have the same address, right? So the 10.10.10.10, but then they say there is, let's say 9, or let's say there's 10 floors and there's 10 rooms on each floor. So there's 100 people in this building. So they'll say 10.10.10.10 is where I need to send the data to. But then it'll say, send it to Joe. Send it to JCristina. He's over on floor 10, building or room number 5. So it'll be 10.10.10.10, and then there'll be a little check bit at the end, or a little bit at the end that says, go to 10.5. Follow me? So what happens then is if you want to play video games or any of this stuff, nothing works properly because it's not a static IP address. It is the same IP address as the guy next door. So if the software is sending to the IP address and not going through the CGNAT, which the CGNAT acts kind of like a post office, like a, let's say, a mail room that gets all of the data at the lower floor and says, oh, we need to send it to floor 10, room 5, right? If you don't have that, then things get lost. So having a static IP address is like having your own address, and no one else lives there but you. You don't live in a condo, okay? You have your own IP address. So you can actually buy multiple. You can have multiple addresses. Like, for example, my Unraid server, okay? I have an address for that only I know, that I can be anywhere on the planet and access all of my data securely through a VPN and through its own IP address. You see what I'm saying? So that's the idea. So Pure VPN is one of those companies that allows you to get a static IP address. You can get one from some of your providers. Some of your ISPs will give them to you. But like companies like Viasat or HughesNet or Starlink or any of these other companies, they do not offer static IP addresses because they don't have them. And the reason being, like I said before, is because they're cheap. VP or IPv4 IP addresses kind of ran out a long time ago. So they need to move to IPv6, but they don't because they're cheap. So they use a small block of IP addresses and then do the condo thing. That's kind of like the short of it. It actually gets deeper, but I don't want to get into the weeds too much. Anthony says, anyone else using T-Mobile with a custom router with a 4x4 MIMO directional? Yes, I am. Getting fairly consistent 200 to 300 megabits down and 30 to 40 up from a tower 7 miles away. T-Mobile is a backup now. Starlink is a backup now. Absolutely. So I have T-Mobile, and I do have a 4x4 MIMO antenna. Matter of fact, I did a review. If you go to jcristina.com/antenna, the antennas that I used, I tested out a 2x2, I tested out a 4x4 flat square, and I tested out a 4x4 log periodic, an LP with 4 antennas. I tested those out, and yes, with T-Mobile, even with LTE, I'm getting about 100 to 150 down and about 50 to 60 megabits up, which is sick with that, not even 5G. So yeah, but it is my backup, and my primary still is Starlink. So, but yes, it works out great. If you don't have one and you have an AT&T or a Verizon, pick up a MIMO antenna, an external antenna. Your mouth will drop on how much better the speeds are and your reliability. You don't get any rain fade at all. It's sick as long as the tower is not congested. Caveat. Let's see. I was gonna. Tool Wrangler says I was gonna run my old chicken coop with an Adreno. I like it. I like it. The think photo sensor to turn on and off lights on the coop and rain sensor. I think that's great. Yeah, like or maybe even like a feed, right? Like a feed thing that, like, maybe when the sun comes out, it puts out a certain amount of feed and then closes back up or something. That'd be kind of cool. I have 2 chicken coops. That'd be a cool project. Ricky says I'm getting 65 megabits down and 25 megabits up. That is not bad. And 28 millisecond ping. Sweet. Not bad at all. Yost says, have you heard of anyone using 2 Starlink terminals to get them bonded and get doubled speed? You can do that. You can definitely bond Starlink terminals. The cruise ships do it all the time. Anyways, the problem is this. While you can do that, if there is an outage, everything is out. There's no redundancy. I think redundancy is like next to godliness. I mean, you need redundancy. 1 is none. 2 is 1. 3 is 2. You need 3 for redundancy. So while you can do it, I would prefer that people go with multiple ISPs. if the price is right. It just makes more sense, in my personal opinion. But yes, you can do it. Yes, you can put that printer on a static IP address tool. Let's see. Joe says, your wife is not there. Don't you have a deputy? Yes. She's not here. She's not going to be here for a couple of weeks. She's traveling abroad. So it's just going to be my ugly mug for a couple of weeks. Let's see. Brain Surgeon says, why do obstructions lead to slower speeds? Just think about your dish, right? Pointing up at the stars, right? Anything that gets in the way of that data being collected, maybe a tree blowing like this, right, is going to slow things down, because you end up losing data. You end up losing the amount of data that it's collecting. Or if you get a full obstruction like this, the tree is doing this, right? Now it has to do a resync, right? It does these CRC checks. And if the checks don't come up with a good result, meaning that the data is good, just think about the system saying it sends a packet and then it sends an ACK. It sends a transfer packet, it sends an acknowledgement packet. ACK, acknowledgement, back and forth, right? Send, receive, acknowledge, send, receive, acknowledge, send, receive. So what it's doing is it's sending a packet, it's sending back a confirmation that it got a packet, and it gives it let's say a check bit of a 0 or 1. If it's a 0, they didn't match, right? There's a problem. So then it has to resync, and then it has to resync, then it has to resync. That's when you get a lot of CRC errors. There's other issues like jitter that comes into mind, and there's a lot of other things that are at play. But that's basically the gist of it. Why you end up with slower speeds. It gets deeper, but. Sean says, I get open NAT for gaming using the Asus. Yeah, the Asus router. Absolutely, you can do that. That works out well. Let's see. Moving down here. Let's see. All right, here we go. Audrey says, question. Because of you have been looking into Spotify, can you connect two Wi-Fi connections, or do you need not Spotify, Speedify? yeah. I know every once in a while. I remember when I first, hooked up with these people, Speedify. I used to call it Spotify too. I'm like, what the hell is this? What is this called? Spotify? No, Speedify. But anyways, yeah, you can bond multiple connections. There's something brand new that they're coming out with, which is a pairing system. Maybe in the near future, I'll do a whole video on it. And it's a means where you can pair with other people, link up with them, and then use like a bonding between all of you. And then it doesn't matter who has a better connection than the other person. It's like, there's some cool shit going on. Anyways, I'll get into that another time. Let me see. Tool says, always appreciate your Friday session. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see. Don't you think people can use reverse IP for specific devices connected like a printer? I have that option on Netgear Orbit. Yes, you can. And that's when you can use a third-party router and do like QoS or quality of service, and be able to set ports to go, open ports, closed ports, do IP. You can even do IP spoofing. There's a lot of things you can do. It just depends on the quality of the third-party router that you're using. But if you're using Starlink router, you have like no functionality at all. I mean, it's nothing. It just works and that's it. You don't have much functionality at all. So yeah, you can bypass the Starlink router and use a third party, and then you can do that kind of stuff. Absolutely. David said, night. Thank you for being here, David. Really appreciate you being here. Spaceman says, where is the external antenna you mentioned? I would love to look into that. Yeah, so Spaceman, go over to JCristina.com/antenna. JCristina.com/antenna. It'll take you straight over to the antennas that I used. Freaking awesome. Absolutely awesome. Let's see. Ricky says, word of advice. If you set a static IP address to your device, make sure it is not in any conflict. Yes, you don't conflict with something else. Yeah. The static IP address that we were talking about are static IP address that are open to the world, so to speak. So that IP address, like for example, I got one for my Unraid server. That gives me a means to be able to port into my data from anywhere. So if I'm in a hotel somewhere and I'm doing a job or something, I can actually get into all of my data at any time. And it's through a VPN, it's 100% secured, and it works out really great. It has its own static IP address too. Let me see. Question from Nicholas says, do you have your backup LTE bonded with Starlink? And have you thought about load balancing? So that's exactly what we're doing right now. We have Starlink and we have T-Mobile bonded together, load balanced. Right now it is using redundancy, meaning that one of the connections, either T-Mobile or Starlink, is not doing well or not doing fabulous. So it's doing redundancy, and when it does redundancy, what that means is it's sending mirrored packets to both connections. So the exact same data is being sent to Starlink as being sent to T-Mobile. Whichever gets there first wins, and the other one gets shit canned, basically. So this way we don't have a problem going out. That's a really true packet-based bonding, right? So if they are both working at 100%, it will go from a redundant type of means where you're mirroring to a whichever is faster type of thing and bond them together to get greater speeds. Right now it's going for mirroring, so you're not getting greater speeds, you're getting redundancy. Okay, so that's what that Speedify is doing. So it works out really good. So the load balancing is definitely a thing. RAID 5 Starlink regular fiber connection. Yes, that would be sweet. Tool Wrangler says, I now know you're a photog. A photog guy. Just have a little A6400, but wondering if it's possible to have a camera auto upload photos or videos to Google Drive cloud. Non-Apple guy. Some of the cameras will do it automatically. You could also create like an Unraid server and put together a package that you send any image that's sent to a specific folder is automatically uploaded into the cloud. There's a lot of things that you can do. Canon did this thing where as you take a picture with the Canon, it would immediately upload into the cloud through Wi-Fi. Then Canon lost everyone's pictures, and then people were pissed. So I'm not a fan of the whole cloud thing. You know, keep the stuff that you want important, keep it close to you. The cloud should be only used for backup, and that is it. Minor backup. And then you should always have, matter of fact, that's what I wrote this book here for. Do you see this book? Can you see that right there? How to create a digital Fort Knox, backing up your digital life. Go to JCristina.com/books, and you can get the prologue to that and read through it. It's basically me building an Unraid server and taking you on that path of not RAID 5, not RAID anything, but Unraid. But it's amazing, absolutely amazing. And it's running on 12-year-old parts, and it's been running for about 2 years now with not a hiccup. That's it. So anyways, check that out for sure. Let me show something to you guys. People have asked this of me, and I want to just kind of draw this up real quick. And the reason being is that some people they don't understand how this works, and I figure, you know, sometimes it's better just to kind of show how stuff works. So let me just put, you know, the difference between this whole LEO, MEO, GEO, and all this nonsense that I was telling you guys about before. So if we just did this, right? Like if I put, let me just do this, right? So this right here is Earth, okay? That's Earth, all right? That's nice and, it looks like Earth, maybe, something like that, right? And then let's say right here is your LEO, Okay, that's your Leo. And then right here is your Meo. And then right here is your Geo. All right, you see that? Now, what is the difference here? So this is about 550 kilometers. This is about, let's call it close to 20,000 kilometers. And Geo is sitting at about 30, a lot of them are sitting at about 35 to 36,000 kilometers. So people say, well, what is the difference? And I was telling you how it is a difference on how much of the Earth is being seen. So a satellite, for example, right? Let's go ahead and let's say we have a satellite over here in Geo. This satellite, right, this satellite will be able to hit, let's say, all of the Earth, or let's say a good portion of the Earth, right? Because it's so far away, it can hit that amount. Whereas something here in Leo can only hit a small little area. You see that? A small little area. And that's why we need so many of these. But what is also really important about this is your latency. And this is where a lot of people say, you know, Usenet is such trash and Viasat is such trash, and they're getting slow speeds and they're paying a lot of money and there's a ton of latency. What does that mean? Well, in Leo over here, you're going to get about 20 milliseconds, right, to about 50 milliseconds. But in Geo, a geocentric or a geostationary satellite is going to get around 100 to sometimes 1,000 or even higher milliseconds. That's almost a second of latency. So what happens is if you're online, let's say you're doing a conference call or something, if you're sitting over here using this satellite in Geo, right, there's going to be that delay. There's going to be this latency. That's just horrible. If you try playing a video game, you'll be dead and you won't even know it. You'll be playing and then all of a sudden your body will fall to the floor and you actually got killed a second before you even fell to the floor. You didn't even know that it even happened, right? That's why people that play video games, they always want to get the quickest ping. You always hear that. I want the lowest ping, the lowest ping. Well, that's your milliseconds. What is that ping? So if you can get 20 milliseconds with SpaceX Starlink as of today, that is really pretty powerful. That is really powerful. That is nice, because in the future, we're going to see most likely pings that are going to be about 10 milliseconds, maybe 15 milliseconds. That is amazing from a satellite that's orbiting the Earth in comparison to fiber. So what I'm also hearing is they're supposed to be going lower. So instead of 550 to 530 kilometers, my understanding is we're going to start seeing satellites hovering right around 300 kilometers, 320. Now, that kind of brings me to a question that I got. And this question was that it came in through an email, and they said, have you heard of all these satellites falling out of orbit recently? And the answer to that is yes. There is a lot of SpaceX Starlink satellites that have been falling out of orbit. And I'm going to do a video on that most likely, I'm going to say probably next week. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that because I think it's important, and I'm going to get into a little bit of what's going on about the life cycle of these things, but also the duration of, and I should say the height of where they're orbiting and the amount of drag that's being put on these things basically by the height that they're at. So anyways, let me just answer a couple more questions that I'm going to break out because we're getting close to that 2-hour mark. I don't want to go too far, too long. Let's see. Arnie says, I have seen a considerable improvement in Starlink connection. It is partly obstructed, but the minutes dropped per 12 hours is only for 2 to 3 minutes. So yeah, so he's seeing a better, let's say, connection. That's really good. They are getting better, and they are changing the position of these Dish too. A lot of folks I've been hearing, the dishes are starting to change orientation, becoming more, let's say, falling back, pointing more at the sky, than before. So there is some things that they're doing to kind of get things working a little bit better, especially when it comes to obstructions. Let's see. Anthony says, question. Are you bonding with Speedify at the desktop, or are you forwarding through a Linux gateway? So right now, Speedify is being bonded on the desktop level, but I might build something to bond using this. It's another idea that I was having. So, but yeah, right now it's through the desktop. Works great. But you have to be able to get your connections into your desktop too. Right now we have Wi-Fi coming in through T-Mobile, and I have Starlink coming in through CAT cable, through Ethernet, and I have AT&T coming in through CAT also, through a separate card. So you have to have means of bringing in the connection. So keep that in mind. Dragon Egg says, thank you for all your time, tech support. Thank you so much. Signing out. Appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. Let's see. Ricky. Ricky says, I depend on Google Photos. Storage saves me storage space on my phone. Yes, yes. Just be careful. Be careful. You don't want to lose use them, that's fine, but use them as a redundant backup. Keep your own backups. Let's see. Spaceman says, I still have a lot of obstructions in the best location on my property according to the Starlink app, over 26%. Woo. Any way to improve that until I get to tower? No. You're just going to have to get higher, or you're going to have to cut down trees. What happened to me, guys, is when they changed, my dish originally pointed towards like the northeast, like this, right? And it was literally like up like this. And then they changed it to point to east, northeast. So it was like this. The problem is when it switched like this, there's a damn tree there. I had to go and cut down like the top of a tree because it moved from here to here. It really pissed me off, but it is the way it is. We started connecting through satellites that were over the ocean. I talked about that in a few of my other videos. But now, not only is it not like this, and not only is it not like this anymore, now it's like this. So now we're pointing towards the east, northeast, but we're also at a greater decline. So I like this better because you're not going to hit as many trees like this than when it's like that, right? So hopefully, that's something that Starlink does going forward, just like what they do with all of their mobility, all of their mobile dish. All the dish that you see, they're always like this on the top of any unit. It doesn't matter if it's a car, if it's a train, if it's a plane, or whatever it is, they're always like this, right? They're never like that. So hopefully they start doing that. We'll see what ends up happening. Let's see. Let's come down here. Ricky says a timeout and had both Usenet. In a time they had both Usenet and Viasat had a ping over 700 milliseconds. That's why I switched to AT&T in 2020. God, so there you go. Someone that had Viasat and Usenet. 700 ping. That's 3/4 of a second delay. It's almost unusable. Let me see. Question, iPad, researching Pro versus Air for drawing, for videos, for creation, which you recommend, 256 gig Air. I really do like the Pro. The Air is not bad either. It really depends on what you do. When it comes to the iPad, it's not as powerful as what I thought it was going to be. That said, can I edit with it? I can. It's just you have to be a little bit more mindful of doing certain things. You can edit 4K video on an iPad. People don't realize that, but you can. So, it is a powerful system. But for me, I like the Pros. But either which way, I think you're going to love them. Either one that you get the one that you can afford, and just dig in deep and really learn how to use it and use it well. But definitely get a lot of hard drive space. I would spend more money on getting a slower iPad but a bigger drive in it than something that's really fast that has no space. You can always get extra space and plug it in through a card, which I do, through a dongle, but I hate dongles for everything. I'd rather work on the iPad when I'm done, offload it, and then delete all of the content from it, put it onto a backup, and have it fresh again. In comparison to having a dongle stick in there and then just have all, it's just a pain. To me, it's just a pain in the ass. That's my personal opinion. Let's see. Last question from Tool says, how many ISP services do you currently have, and how much do you pay monthly for the internet? So right now we have AT&T. I keep that just because I think for nostalgia. It's probably like $50 a month or something. It's literally 15 megs down and 1.5 megs up. I leave that as a landline in case everything non-terrestrial goes south. I still have a means of communication. That's the only reason I keep it. I have T-Mobile. T-Mobile is about $50 a month. And then I also have Starlink, which is $120 a month. Another video that I might be doing is there are some people out there that are getting and are going to get discounts on Starlink. I already know of a couple of people that their bill just went from $120 to $110 with absolutely no notification. So watch your bill. I might be doing a video on that next week too, so hang tight on that one. Let's see. Starman says, do you think that the dish will point more upward when there are more satellites in the sky? I do. I really do. I think they will. So anyways, guys, really, I appreciate each and every one of you being here. In the before you leave, throw the video a thumbs up. Tell friends and family about this channel so that we can grow it. I'm trying to see how big we can get this thing going. You know what? How many subscribers do we have as of right now? All right, that's our live subscriber feed. There it is. 74,466. If you are not subscribed right now, click the subscribe button and see if we can go up. We see if we can get it to go up from 466 to 467 in the next minute. See if it can happen. Watch, we lose someone just because. Anyways, that's the feed. That's what's currently going on. I would like to be able to see this thing get to 100,000 by the end of the year. I don't think it's going to happen, but who knows? It's possible. We're just going to keep on putting out good quality content. I hope you guys enjoy it. Once again, just share it. Share it on Reddit. Share it on Facebook. Share it all over the place. And hopefully we can get more people to come on board and share their stories of connectivity. Remember, this channel is not just about Starlink. It's about tech in general, as well as photo and video. I am a DP. I'm a director of photography. I do episodic TV. There's a lot of other stuff that I do. So I am a tech head. So there's a lot of other stuff that's going to be coming into the channel, especially in the next couple of weeks. I'll also put that poll. Don't forget to take that poll. It will be in the community. So definitely subscribe so you can see that pop up. I just saw it roll. It rolled to 466 and then it rolled 468 and then rolled back to 466, I think. I don't know. Anyways, we'll see. Maybe it can go up. Anyways, thank you so much. Once again, have a wonderful, wonderful Friday. Thank you for being here. Have a great weekend. Many blessings to each and every one of you. And we will see you next week. Take care, guys.